Yo guys, what is up? It's Teach here, coming at you again with another video over on Ark Survival Ascended, and I wanted to show you a super useful trick basically it's a bunch of tricks that actually come with the use of the Stegosaurus. Probably, if not the most useful tame in the game, it's certainly up there. Whether you're playing PvE or PvP, this dinosaur is pretty much one of the king dinosaurs in all of Ark. You can see that they are absolutely insane. Now, if you don't mind, smash that like button, leave a comment below for the algorithm, and then consider subbing to the channel. So let's go ahead and talk about it, because they've got 3 different modes, an ability to actually penetrate armor, plus they've got the ability to stun lock certain things. And when certain dinos get to a low health, including Rexes, they can actually stun lock them as well. A lot of really cool things. I'll talk about everything you need to know and how you're probably using these things wrong, if you want me to be completely honest. But let's go ahead and get started. So first off, the base stats on this guy are absolutely lovely. They have a really high health pool. They have a really decent weight. They have a pretty solid melee damage. Their stamina is a little bit low considering, but it depends on what you want to level on these things. So there's basically 3 different things that you want to do with Stegosauruses. One, their health, if you're using them for PvP, is pretty much all you should level. You should have soakers, and they can get insane health up to like close to 100k later on in the actual breeding processes. And then you also want to level, for PvP, just health. But if you're using them for an all-around mount or some of these other things, you want to level melee damage, weight, and stamina. And I'll show you why that's important in just a second right now. So anyways, as you can see, I'm going to go ahead and refill stats on this guy. But the Stego has a few different modes. And if you look in the upper right corner of my screen, you're going to see there are 3 different settings that you can do. If you hit C on keyboard, you can change them to hardened plate, you can change them to heavy plate, and then you can change them to sharpened plate. Now, all 3 of these are going to protect the rider from any attacks and being picked, but all 3 of them have a different setting, actually. So the one that I am in right now, hardened plate, is going to basically reduce damage that is incoming by half. So if something was to 100 damage in regular mode, it'll do 50 damage inside of a Stego when it's actually got this buff on. So it gives you a reduction in damage. Also, when in this mode, you can gather wood just about as good as a Castroides or a beaver can, which is kind of nuts because you can swing really quickly too with these things, and they have a really good carry weight as well. Just so you can see that that's a pretty good amount of wood right there, so you can't complain. So hardened plate will actually give you a huge boost in wood gathering, and it's actually one of the best gatherers of wood in the entire game, outside of maybe a Therizinosaurus, which can be used. But again, Stegos are a great early game wood gatherer and just all around tame. Now that is the hardened plate mode. However, there's also a heavy plate mode, and this mode basically is going to apply a slow effect when you do your generic whip tail like you see me doing right now. And it's also a way to increase the amount of thatch you gather. So if I was to hit a tree, I would gather 2 wood and then 34 thatch on that one. It gathers a ridiculous amount of thatch per swing, and that's a huge advantage for this guy. So that is not hardened plate, heavy plate. And the last thing is sharpened plate. Now this one's really cool because it actually applies an armor penetration with the tail whip, and it also gives a huge buff to the amount of berries that you can gather. So early game, this is one of the most useful things that you can use in order to actually gather a ridiculous amount of resources, because it can gather a lot of the early, mid, even late game resources at a very nice rate. And you can see them right now. Look at all those berries, just 2 swings, and I've got a very solid amount of early game berries, so you can't complain. Now, not only that, but in this mode, you actually are able to bypass armor. Now, it's not a full bypass of armor, but it applies a stack to it, basically increasing the amount of damage you can do to an armed player or anything with a saddle on it. So if I was to swing at this guy, notice how it did 249 to that guy, and then 17 DPS to this thing right now, applying a stack of armor penetration on it. Now, if I switch over to the hardened plate and I take a swing at it, it's going to apply that 17 damage, but it actually bypasses the armor on saddles and stuff like that, which is a huge benefit. Now, you'll notice that all 3 attacks do the same amount of base damage. However, if something was wearing a saddle, it's going to do the increased damage using that sharpened plate on it. So that's definitely a big buff. Now, it does quite a bit of base damage, as you can see right now. This is level 50 Bronto that my Stego is not having much problem with, and this Bronto will just get eventually taken out. Yes, I'm in GCM mode, so it's not going to be able to do damage to me, but it's a pretty big advantage. Now, there's also a secondary attack. You saw me do it right there, and that is the ability to what is called impale attack, or if you want to think of it this way, it gives your Stego the ability to impale a creature and then slowly bleed it, which is a huge advantage, obviously, if you're trying to kill something. Now, the other benefit of a Stego, I can actually pull a weapon out while I'm riding the Stego, which gives you a huge advantage in PvP or in PvE, because you can actually have this guy just sit and tank while you're doing all the shooting, and that's a big advantage for a lot of people, so definitely keep that in mind. Now, the next thing that you're going to want to watch out for is you can impale things by using the right click attack. It's a slightly different attack, and it won't actually do any damage if it can't pick something up, but it'll stun lock something in place, which is a huge thing, because you can stun lock something and also, while stun locking them, hop off of the actual creature. So I'll show you what that looks like. I'm going to go up to just a random tame. There's a beaver up here, so we'll just use it if I can catch it, or this, what's it called? Carbonemus. So if you can stun lock it when you walk up to it, just like you see here, I believe I can stun lock this guy. Maybe I can't, apparently. It won't let me. I don't know why, but apparently it says no. So let's see if I can get this guy. It'll give you a little red indicator if you can, and it's a big helping thing. Why isn't it just not working? Here we go. Okay. So if I was to be able to stun lock something, it would actually give me the option to. It turns red and it gives you the ability to. I'm going to spawn in a dodo, actually, and that's going to give us the ability to at least show you what I'm talking about. Let's Control V this. And then there's a level 1000 dodo. You can notice how it turns red on it. That means that I have the ability to stun lock this creature. You can do it with all players as well, by the way. And with lower health, dinos will actually give you the ability as well. And as long as it's red on it, oh man, it's not going to let me do it, huh? I'm just like unable to hit it. Come on. Why aren't you hitting it? Please? There it goes. So see how it's locked it in place? What it does is it does percentage health. So as you're locking things in place, if you are able to do it to a player, you can actually lock it just like I did right here. Hop off, and then you can unload on whatever creature or player that it is. It's a very useful thing, especially for PvP, in order to do something like that, because once you lock that thing in place, it's going to do the percentage health. Now, another trick is on extinction, actually. You can stun lock the Forest Titan, and it does a ridiculous amount of damage. They probably won't fix this for Ark Survival Ascended because I'm not sure they even know it's a thing, but it's a really popular technique to actually just straight up kill it, because it does percentage health base for the actual stun lock. So doing percentage health to something that has 400,000 health with those titans is going to basically kill it quicker than you can do damage with anything else. So it's a really popular thing, also because they are so tanky. You can basically just attack the Forest Titan with one of these and just continue to stun lock and then shoot. You can see that this guy right here is coming towards us. I'm able to do the stun lock on him. So I'm going to go ahead and then lock it in place. It looks like I got the dodo, but you can, oh, actually got the diplo, and you can see that it's stuck in place. So you can just hop off and just unload into something. So that is very useful. Now, the next thing and the last thing I'll talk about is the use of the Stegosaurus for PvP purposes. Two things, right? These guys will soak all bullets that try and hit you. However, people are probably doing this wrong, because when you raid face first and you're going into something like tech turrets, you will take splash damage from the tech turrets. However, if you walk the Stego backwards as you're going, you can raid just about any base and the Stego will take 100% of the damage for you, because when you're going backwards, it's going to soak that splash damage for you instead of going forwards where you'll actually get hit by tech turrets. So it's arguably the best raiding creature in the entire game. Another popular thing that you can do is when you have the tech rifle unlocked, you can literally run at somebody's base with a Stego and shoot with the tech rifle, giving you the ability to get an insane amount of damage off. And a lot of people will just force run like I'm doing right now with a rocket or something like that pulled out. And that is how you actually rocket run with a Stego, or actually get close with a tech rifle. Now, the Stego is arguably one of the most useful tames in the game at using all these tricks, because a lot of people just forget that they do have that ability to get a very nice amount of wood. And this is on 1x that I'm getting 150 wood for 2 trees, almost 200 wood on 2 trees. So it's a very useful tame. Even berries and using the ability to get the sharpened, you can get an insane amount. Just take a actual boat and go down one of the rivers and you'll get a crazy amount of berries. So one of the most useful tames in the game, and people typically only use them in PvP for the actual soaking ability. However, they have a lot of other abilities like I just showed you, and it's very useful to have access to something like this. So you should definitely utilize this guy in all of the ways that it can be utilized and take advantage of that. So anyways, hopefully this video helps you out, but other than that, teach.